for the spot there. And we put on it, if you want to be successful, you got to get real and get well, man. Oh yeah, I said, hey, come back in my office, let's talk. Sat down there with his manager. By the way, this car in '83 cost $46,000, and the darn thing did not have a back seat. So before I hand you this check, gotta ask your manager a question. Mr. Manager, when was the last time one of your salesmen, sir, sold 2 cars worth $88,000 in less than 20 minutes? He said, never. I said, it ain't never gonna happen again either. Until and unless you teach every one of your salespeople to stop playing God and start being competent. You could not judge a guy with tennis shoes, blue jeans, and a t-shirt. What you gotta do, I said, is teach your people how to qualify human beings, because when you least expect it, they'll be the biggest recruit. When you least expect it, they'll be the biggest retail customer. When you least expect it, someone in your downline will wake up and start smelling the roses. I looked over to the salesman. I said, I gotta ask you a question. What gave you the courage to stand in my office in front of my people, having just sold me an expensive car, to ask me to buy another car as if to say, you got a donut? Would you like a cup of coffee to go with it? He said, Mr. Cobain, since I saw you on that Saturday afternoon, I have done nothing but check you out. Oh, man. He said, I got hold of some of your tapes and memorized that stuff, man. I got your sales book. I can recite it to you now. It works. That stuff works, he said. Oh, my. That was a true story. I was in '83, and I've never driven another car since. I exchanged the cars every 2, 3, 4 years. I tell the story of the young man who sometimes in his naivety had power. Sometimes you and I think we know enough to make the decisions to hold us back, and the moment we lose our innocence and our childlike wonder, we become constipated. Mentally constipated, that is. Let's go to page 2. Top of page 2. We spend 78% of our time, you and I, 78% of our time every day at communicating. 78% of our time, therefore, it goes without saying, you and I have got to learn how to communicate effectively. Item 2, 7 out of 10 messages, according to the University of Minnesota, 7 out of 10 messages actually don't get through. Oh my! What lousy efficiency. That suggests that you and I operate at a 30% efficiency rate. When time is the only inventory that you've got, it's the only thing in your life you cannot replenish, is time. We ought to use time like it's the greatest of all treasures, because none of us can make more of it. 30%, University of Minnesota says, efficiency rate for most people at communication. Here's what they're really saying, item 3. Basically, 70% of one's communication efforts, 70% of one's communication efforts get gargled somehow. They get gargled. By that we mean A, B, C, D. A, they get misunderstood. You say something and somebody misunderstands you. When my son Ramsey, who's 17 now, was about 2 or 3, and I left for work in the morning, I told him, I said, Ramsey, you've been giving your mom a hard time. And if I come back tonight and your mom says that you are a naughty boy, I, as your father, must spank you. So don't misbehave. Came back in the evening and my wife made a point of telling me in front of him that Ramsey was a naughty boy. And I called him over here and I said, Ramsey, remember the deal we made this morning? We made a little covenant, you and I. If you don't behave, I have to spank you. Now, I want you to remember something. I'm your father. I love you. I get no joy out of spanking you. The only reason I'm going to spank you is because I love you so much. And then I let him have it on his derriere 2 or 3 times. I'll never forget, as long as I live, as this 3-year-old boy looked up at me with tears coming down both of his cheeks, as if they were pearls tumbling down this youthful valley. And he said, Daddy. I said, yes, Ramsey. He said, Daddy, I don't want you to love me anymore. %70 of our messages somehow, sometimes get misunderstood. B, they get mistaken. Mistaken, we mean one thing and they mistake it for something else. C, they get missed. We send somebody a message, they never get it. And D, they get messed, as in messed up. They get messed up. By that we mean someone takes a message for you, they write down the wrong number, you can't call the person back, it gets messed up, opportunity lost. Here's what you and I have to do if we're really going to become good, solid communicators. We have to apply the slow method, S-L-O-W. The S stands for speaking. Speaking, not talking. Keep in mind, please keep in mind, you can talk about last night's ball game or today's ball game or tomorrow's weather, but if you're gonna say something about the starlight opportunity, you gotta think first. Design your words like an artist would design his or her work. And frame it in a way that the receiver would find in it value, inspiration, benefit. That's why we say speak, not just talk. We talk too much and we speak too little. I'll give you a couple examples. For example, how many times have you heard someone say, I love you more than you'll ever know? You heard that before? Why do we say stupid things like that? I mean, if you love me, go ahead and tell me how much you love me. Why are you teasing me so much? It makes no sense to me. How about when we say to someone, if I told him once, I told him 1,000 times. Like, he the dummy. No, I the dummy. Because if I told him once and he didn't get it, and I told him twice and he didn't get it, and I told him 3 times and he didn't get it, maybe there's something wrong in the telling. How many times have you heard someone say, let me be honest with you? What's the alternative? Any of you remember the old Geritol commercial? The old Geritol commercial? The guy will stand on television, on TV. He'll have his wife standing next to him. He'll put his arm around his wife. He'll look straight in the TV camera and he'll say, my wife, she takes Geritol every day and I love her for it. Now, I don't know about you. I used to worry about this woman. I'd lie up at night thinking, what if she stops taking Geritol? Who's going to love this woman? We say dumb things. Here's the best way to learn how to speak. Get a tape recorder and record yourself. Get a tape recorder and record yourself. You must record your presentation. And you must listen back to it, and you must ask questions like these. This person on this tape recorder, me, does he, does she sound like they're intelligent? Do they sound persuasive? Do they sound honest? Do they sound passionate? Do they sound informed? Do they sound successful? And if not, why not? And if not, what must they do so they will feel all these things? Tape yourself and listen. If you're using too many ahs, ums, you know, or God forbid, the word like. I woke up this morning and I looked out the window and it was dark. And I said I have to turn the light on, but it was too far from my bed. Who invented the word like? Clearly a person who doesn't know a lot of words in English. It has no application. People who use too many like, that means their brain can't think fast enough to come up with something different. So don't succumb to this kind of stuff. Here's why. Because when you use repetitious stuff like that, it defocuses the listener from the message itself. And the listener now is focused on the interference itself. The word like. It's equivalent to guys. Gosh, I wish I have 2-3 hours with you because there's so much we need to cover. It's equivalent. Well, thank you. It's equivalent to the guy, God forbid we have one of those dudes here this afternoon. It's equivalent to the guy who might have hair where God never intended to be. Like on top of their nose. Do you know guys like that? And I've discovered these hairs on top of the nose always come in groups of 3. Now the only thing worse than having hair on top of the nose is hair coming out of the nose. I sat next to a guy from Atlanta to Los Angeles the other day who had, I'm not kidding you now, who had hair coming out of each nostril, roughly 1/4 inch per side. I thought the guy owned a broom factory. I wanted to tell him, give me your address for Christmas. I'm going to send you 2 red ribbons, you know. And then it struck me, how can this guy miss this hair coming out of his nose? Because I couldn't help but notice that he had no mustache. I ask you, when he shaved that morning, what did he do? Lift those up and... Now that is called interference. And when you got interference, you can't connect. You ask the question, does he have a partner in his life who could have pointed him to the hair? The point is, when you use words like, or you have some visual stuff that interferes, it robs you of your power of persuasion. So that's how you learn how to speak. You record yourself, you listen to yourself, you improve, become more persuasive. The second one is listen. I'll tell you the best way to learn how to listen. This is such a simple technique, but it's so powerful. Here's what you do. When you watch TV or a video, take the remote control, assuming you live in a household where you can take the remote control. And as the newscaster reads the news, you know, for a whole sentence, mute them, and out loud repeat what they just said. The first once or twice you do that, you'll become very frustrated because you say to yourself, heavens, I can't even repeat it. But don't give up. Put the sound back on. Listen to one more sentence. Mute it. Repeat it. In a matter of 2 minutes, you'll become an outstanding listener. Here's why. Being a great listener does not come from your mother's womb. Being a great listener is not a talent reserved for the rich or the powerful or the good-looking or the smart. Being a good listener comes to those among us in this ballroom today who focus on listening. And you know how you focus on listening? when you determine in your heart and your soul that this person with whom you're speaking is a creature of God. If this person is a creature of God, he must be important. And if he or she are important, they deserve to have me pay attention to them. It's simple. The O stands for observing. Not just seeing, but observing. 95% of the people who will meet you or me will make an impression of you or me in the first 30 seconds they meet us. Is that fair? I think not. Is that what happens? Indeed. So I have a choice. I fight the world in its ways, or I survive and thrive and excel in spite of its ways. I seek not to waste my time on that which cannot be done. I search for ways to invest my time in those things that I can, in fact, have some impact upon, so I can move forward, not sideward and not backwards. Observing is powerful, and most of us are not as good at it as we think we are. We think we can look at someone and read them, but we really can't. And yet if you're trying to persuade someone about something, recruiting someone in your downline, you've got to watch them, because the greatest salespeople on the face of this earth are those who listen and observe their way to more sales, not the ones who talk their way to more sales. Think about your best pals. Your best pals are the ones who listen to you, observe you, and say, is something wrong? Can I help in some way? They know when you're not feeling well. And observation is an interesting technique. Let me ask you to do something for me. Take your right arm, stick it ahead of you like this, index finger and a thumb, make me an O like Campbell, alphabet soup, O, very good. Now if you will please, do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Do exactly as I say, do. I have to repeat the instructions 3 times in case there's some Democrats here. You got to do exactly as I say, do. Don't worry, I don't belong to any organized political party. I'm a Republican. Do exactly as I say, do as quickly as I say, do it. Bring the hand very quickly to your head. Very good. To your chest. You're terrific. To your back. Fantastic. To your right leg. Superb. To your chin. My, oh my. My, oh my, oh my. I said to your chin. I noticed a couple of guys here. One of them looked over to the other one and said, hot dang, I got this one right.